Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Time Tribune. We are your host, Brian Ingram from the Bands of Time, and I, of course, Matthew Miller from Maranatha Ministries. We are officially back in the saddle. It has been 7 years since Brian and I did a program together, and it's pretty exciting because one thing's for sure, when it comes to end time prophecy updates, nobody does it better than the End Time Tribune. That's a fact. So we've got a lot to share with you today. We've got a lot to cover today. And it's pretty exciting to get Brian back in the saddle. So let's see how he's doing. Brian, how are things on your end? And what's your thoughts about kicking the End Time Tribune back off?
I've been doing all right. My health has been kind of entertaining, but I'm about 85 to 90% back to my normal self here. I'm excited to get things going again with the End Time Tribune. It's been a long time coming and looking forward to some good stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, so one of the first things that I wanted to kick off with is extremely, well, it's disturbing in light of everything, everything humane. I mean, let's consider this. This article came out on Friday, July the 17th. Israeli strike on Gaza funeral killed at least 7 people, hospital says. So another 22 injured while they were mourning in a funeral. And it is off the charts, ladies and gentlemen. I put this to you cleanly and clearly. Ask your conscience this. Is this a military strike or is this a mafia hit? Since when do military forces strike funerals? On what planet is this legal on an international level? How can this possibly be legal? This is just beyond the pale. These atrocities just have to stop. It's just incredible. It is absolutely incredible. I just can't believe that this kind of thing is allowed, and it's allowed, and it's allowed. And there comes a time when the Christian community rises up and states, look, these are obviously war crimes. These are war crimes. You cannot carry out surgical strikes on hospitals and schools. No one on the planet is allowed to do this. The Germans aren't allowed to do it. The French aren't allowed to do it. The English aren't allowed to do it. I just don't get why this particular mafia organization is allowed to do this. And, you know, you shared an article that I was just dumbfounded when it gave the actual numbers of innocent people that were killed. So, why don't you share that article, Brian?
Yep, this is what's been happening here in Lebanon. This is Amnesty International. It's been keeping track of this. Lebanon Israeli attacks, killing children, wiping out families, must be investigated as war crimes. 3 Israeli airstrikes in southern Lebanon in March of 2026 that killed 24 civilians, 12 of them children, wiping out families, must be investigated as war crimes, Amnesty International said today. The organization investigated 3 Israeli attacks that destroyed civilian homes in Al Thakana neighborhood in the Tir district, Urkay village in Saida district, and El Rabat neighborhood in Nabatea district on the 6th, 12th, and 13th of March, respectively. Those killed included 12 children ranging in ages from 5 to 16, 6 women, including pregnant women and 6 men, and at least 18 others were also injured. Now, it goes on to bring up some more very disturbing numbers in this article. Let me see if I can find that. Between the 2nd of March, when the conflict escalated, and 29 June, 4,257 people were killed in Lebanon, including more than 250 children, according to the Lebanese government. At least 2 civilians were killed in Israel, and at least 39 soldiers in southern Lebanon, according to Israeli media reports. Amnesty International interviewed 15 people, including survivors, relatives, paramedics, journalists who visited attack sites, and local officials for this investigation. That's just it. How? I guess there's no other question I have to ask. How?
How can this be allowed? Look, it is incredible that the international community has not intervened. It is incredible, the number you just read. That is incredible. 250. In that span of time. Look, Brian, as far as I'm concerned, this is an obvious extermination campaign is what we're looking at here. It is beyond contestation that the Israelis, they have in their possession, which they got from us, weapons that can strike within plus or minus 10 feet. Let's say that again. Plus or minus 10 feet. They can carry out surgical strikes anywhere with deadly precision. Why were there 250 children killed? Why?
Well,
I'll
absolutely.
tell you why, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you carry out strikes against the combatants, you'll end the war very quickly.
And they did do that very thing when they hit Hezbollah with the pager bombs. Do you remember that? How they set those pager bombs up with the Mossad? And they took out mass amounts of Hezbollah.
Which was illegal in itself, Brian. That was an act of terror. That was a terror attack. Okay, so it's just unbelievable this is being allowed. And the reason why they're not doing these type of surgical strikes, because if they did surgical strikes and take out just the combatants, the war would be over very quickly, and so would the money flow. Because the United States we're just sending an endless supply of cash to this mafia organization that carries out mafia hits on funerals and schools and hospitals. Those are mafia hits. That is not legitimate strikes carried out by a military. That's not what that is. And everybody knows it. This is literally common knowledge on the global scale. So it just makes you wonder how far, how long, oh Lord, how long, oh Lord, will this be continued to happen? It just blows you away. It's very upsetting, and especially when you're familiar with the military hardware, and you know that under no circumstances does any children need to die. It's just, I don't know, Brian, it's just off the rails.
Well, yeah, and we've had this situation now with the West Bank that flared up in the last couple of days, where it was started by settlers, the infamous Israeli settlers going into the West Bank, which they're not permitted to do according to, I believe it was the Oslo Treaty. And they're going in there stealing land. There happened to be some IDF soldiers with the settlers, and something happened. All heck broke loose. Somebody shot somebody. Next thing you know, they've rounded up 70 Palestinians. They're invading hospitals. That was one of the places that it brought up, where they came in and took somebody out, and they do what they want. And with this current administration in power, which has been in power nonstop for how long? I mean, I've never hidden from the public. I don't like Netanyahu. I never have. And he's continued to lead Israel down the same trajectory, and it just stays like this.
Right? It was a very long time ago that on the End Time Tribune, we did a program about Netanyahu in Bible prophecy. Yes, he is in the Bible. Yes, he is. And, boy, that was a long time ago. Isn't it incredible that he is still in power?
It's mind-boggling.
It's beyond the pale that he is still in power.
He's been up for corruption charges and everything else, and he just keeps prancing along. I don't know how he keeps going.
It's incredible. It is incredible how he keeps moving along. And, it's amazing to me how people don't realize that, it's pretty common knowledge that you can look up the greater Israel map that these people have done that this administration has pranced out. I mean, he doesn't keep it hid, from any of his Muslim neighbors. It is off the rails that, Saudi Arabia, they're just going to take half of it outright.
Well,
and they take everything.
Go ahead.
You realize they take everything on the Mediterranean side of the Euphrates River. They take it.
So the
Syria.
Go ahead.
It's just incredible to look at. They're literally taking over the historical Levant and a great big portion of Egypt, as well as Saudi Arabia too.
And that's part of the nuclear agreement that Trump has got set in motion, is to get Saudi Arabia to sign the Abraham Accords in order to get that nuclear capabilities to build nuclear energy facilities, but also to enrich uranium. Hello, folks. You're looking at an arms race starting in the Middle East, and nobody realizes how fast this is coming at us.
And nobody realizes what that is. That is dividing the land for price. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's
divide the land for gain.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
So we're knee deep into this. This is no joke where this is going, and it can't go anywhere good. Now, on top of this, when you have the time to look other places, the Russians have just about endured their last attack. It's incredible that now the Ukrainians have actually struck an Iranian vessel on the Caspian Sea. This is next level. This is next level. So I hope that everybody realizes that, Maranatha Ministries have been stating since February of 2024 that if the Lord Jesus Christ was crucified in 30 AD, we are coming up on magnificent dates. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you know both Haggai and Zechariah's timeline, if you know what the 2300 days are, if you believe Ezra chapter 6, verse 15, once you put all these things together, you better buckle up for October the 1st, 2026. You better buckle up, because if Jesus Christ was crucified in 30 AD, the 1,290-day count will begin October 1st. Do I have your attention? Do I have your attention? Let's just talk about this. Switch gears here a little bit. Everybody needs to know that we continually have massive problems with our water being deoxygenated. Now, this has been happening. It's been happening literally continually for years now. And it is amazing that people just can't accept what's going on. It's just incredible. But when you look at the narratives, look, a massive fish kill in Baltimore's Inner Harbor. And yes, in this it comes right out and says that what done it must have been a pistachio tide. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to realize that, look, you're in serious trouble. The planet is in serious trouble. What's going on around us on a continual basis is not good. Take note that we just had a 5.0 earthquake in the Texas Panhandle. Everything seems to be ratcheting up. Doesn't matter where you look. It doesn't matter where you go. Things are not good. They are not good. So, unfortunately, Brian, we've got more entertainment going on because I'm going to have to take this phone call. So you're in charge here for a few minutes while I step out, okay?
All right. I was lucky I was loading something up in the background. I wanted to bring up a few odds and ends here quick, as well as far as things we have going on in the Middle East, and about how Matthew just brought up how by October we could be seeing things ratcheting up extensively here. Some things to take note of is the whole big fight has fired off again here in the Middle East, in Iran again, because of, the Straits of Hormuz. And everything's being blocked from going through there. They hit a Greek vessel in the middle of all this, and everything flared up again. But, something we warned about specifically for years on end because of the prophecy pertaining to the Queen of the South shall rise up in that day, and Yemen. And that would be the Houthi. Well, now the Saudi military strikes Houthi targets in Yemen after Iran-backed militia attacked Red Sea shipping. The Saudi strikes focus solely on legitimate military targets used by Houthis to attack shipping in the Red Sea, a Saudi military spokesperson said. Air defenses in Saudi Arabia reportedly intercepted 2 ballistic missiles from Yemen. The Iran-backed Houthis claimed to have attacked 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea earlier in the week. On Thursday, U.S. President Donald Trump said he would hold Iran responsible for further attacks by the Houthis. Now, folks, I want to point out something very important here. Do you know who's manning the guns that are shooting down the attacks from the Houthis that are being sent at Saudi Arabia? It's Greece's military that's involved. That's hugely, hugely important on a prophetic level. Now, to go further into this article here, Saudi Arabia said on Saturday that its coalition forces struck Houthi militia in Yemen after the Iran-backed group claimed to have attacked 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea earlier in the week. Air defenses in Saudi Arabia reportedly intercepted 2 ballistic missiles from Yemen. The latest salvos appeared to indicate an escalation in fighting in a second front in the Iran war. The Saudi strikes focus solely on legitimate military targets that the terrorist Houthi militia use to threaten commercial vessels in the Red Sea. Major General Turki al-Maliki, spokesman for the Saudi-led coalition to restore legitimacy in Yemen, said in a statement. On Thursday, U.S. President Donald Trump said he would hold Iran responsible for further attacks by the Houthis after the militant group said it had struck the U.S. Saudi tankers. And there it is, folks. Yemen's knee-deep in the middle of this, and the Queen of the South. And I was actually going to go and look to see if Nineveh was involved, and I forgot to. But right here is what I brought up. Reuters quoted Greek security sources as saying that air defense systems in Saudi Arabia intercepted 2 ballistic missiles from Yemen on Saturday, targeting oil refineries in Yanbu a day after U.S. forces launched fresh airstrikes on Iran. Now, folks, Greece has been in Saudi Arabia intercepting these missiles that Iran was sending their way from the beginning of the strikes when the Iran war started back earlier this year. So this isn't just from out of nowhere this is happening. And they've made a huge alliance with Israel, so there's a lot to keep your eyes on, not to even mention that they've got their eyes on Turkey.
Yep, they sure do. Yes, they do. And you know, what's going to stop it? I mean, what is going to stop it? And it just makes you wonder when these events, why these events are situated in the scripture, like Psalm 83, like Isaiah 17. When are these things? Because Armageddon and Gog and Magog is not in question. Those are the millennium wars. One precedes the millennial reign of Christ. One is after the millennial reign of Christ. So that's not a question. But these other wars mentioned in Scripture really does make you wonder, where we're at on this timeline. Because if Jesus Christ was crucified at 30 A.D., we are on the timeline right now. We're on the timeline.
And as we've discussed, even like Isaiah 17 and Damascus, you have to wonder with the Civil War if we've already seen at least a partial fulfillment, if not the full fulfillment.
Right, because you look at aerial footage, drone footage of Damascus, it is in ruins. It's in ruins. So that really does make you question things, but there's a lot more than this. I mean, let's try another couple of things. I mean, this is just enough. Is this really happening? I mean, do people really think we're this stupid? Okay. Heavy rainfall causes mass fish deaths in Kansas Lake. Does our government think we're retarded? Okay. This is from Wichita, Kansas. Okay. A near constant rainfall that Kansas has been recently is creating problems across the state. In Scott County, that includes a rise in fish deaths. The county's Department of Energy Management said the amount of mud and debris in Lake Scott is likely depleting oxygen levels in the water and leading to a tremendous number of fish deaths. Ladies and gentlemen, surely the government officials in Kansas don't think people is that stupid. Ladies and gentlemen, this is preposterous. When are the citizens of this country going to stand up and start demanding that their elected officials perform their duly elected duties? When is that going to happen? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, retarded people know that rain does not deplete oxygen levels. Everybody knows that. I mean, like I said, that is preposterous. What is going on? The problem is why? I mean, I have seen hundreds of articles now about fish kills resulting from depleted oxygen in the water. And yet I've never seen any duly elected official produce a reason as to why there's no oxygen in the water. Because I'm pretty sure that's God's responsibility, don't you, Brian?
Yep.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's God and God alone. That's one of his fingerprints. It's one of his fingerprints. So it really truly makes you wonder what on earth is going on. And, let me try another one. Is everything normal, ladies and gentlemen? Does everybody know where Tornado Alley is? Okay, because I am here to tell you that Cape May Point, New Jersey is not, I repeat, it is not in Tornado Alley. It's not. This is preposterous. What on earth is going on? What is going on? Is what we're experiencing normal? Is this what you call normal? Because I have become so sick of duly elected officials and the media that they pay, because I'm not afraid to say that, the media that they pay, lying and saying everything's normal. It's normal. No matter what happens, it's normal. Tornadoes in New Jersey is not normal. It's never been normal. 5.0 earthquakes in the Texas Panhandle is the last thing on earth that it is normal. That's not normal.
Yep. That one I noticed, it stood out like a sore thumb to me today when I saw that.
So what else you got to share, Brian?
Well, another one I was thinking on too is this has been coming up a lot. UNESCO site for Tyre in Lebanon is under threat because Israel's been bombing it. And, when you stop and consider prophecies concerning Tyre, you kind of sit there and shake your head going, that makes you kind of wonder. What else did I find today? It was just unending. Let's stroll through this stuff here. Let's bring this one up real quick. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I was just going to bring up more about this alliance between Israel and Greece. And on top of it, what is it? India's becoming a part of it, which that's pretty darn major. But we've got... Let's see. Share that page. Now, they've been talking about this for a while, but they finally put it into effect today. Athens backs Israeli-built Achilles shield in $4 billion defense push. Greece has approved $3.5 billion, or $4 billion, Israeli-built multi-layered air defense system as part of sweeping military modernization strategy, strengthening protection against missiles, aircraft, and drones, while expanding defense cooperation with Israel. Okay, I don't need to read any more of that article. That speaks for itself. Folks...
just so that...
Go ahead.
Just so that everybody knows, it's just not Greece. Our Congress has already passed the Military Authorization Act, joining the American and the Israeli military. So the Israelis are just getting started. Okay, they're just getting started.
Yeah, because America is part of that agreement. It's a fourfold agreement. It's four nations joined together. What? Now, folks, let me ask everybody something. Daniel 7, it speaks of a leopard with 4 heads. Where is the only place in the world where you're going to find leopards? Anatolia, which is Turkey, which is ancient Greece. Greece, Macedonia, that's the leopard, folks. Greece.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Cyprus and the whole bit, because Turkey came in and stole northern Cyprus. Greece is fed up. Israel's fed up. They want to tangle with Turkey, but they're like, well, we need to deal with Iran first, and then obviously Lebanon and Syria. But you've got
Well,
Turkey backing Syria.
well,
What a mess.
remember, let's properly interpret what's going on here. Okay, so what's going on here for one? The conflict in the Middle East is because Israeli proxies attacked Iran. Did I catch you by surprise? Because that is what happened. Okay.
Yep.
We have no dog in that fight. We never did. The Americans attacked Iran because we are Israeli proxies. Okay.
Yep.
So this is, of course, why the Israeli proxies in Ukraine just attacked an Iranian ship on the Caspian Sea. Okay. Everybody knows what's going on. This whole thing is an Israeli proxy war.
And the last week, Zelensky got permission to build, or in the last couple of weeks, got permission to build Patriot missiles out there in Ukraine. So, of course, there's stipulations here, and that's why they're hitting supply ships that are coming through the Caspian Sea that are bringing over missiles and supplies over to Iran. I mean, how do they keep restocking in Iran? They use all their missiles, and magically they have more missiles the next day. Well, look, folks, they've long suspected that Russia and China are both funneling them more supplies to keep this thing going. I mean, we go in and strike military targets. The next day, Iran's wheeling out new stuff.
Now stop. Okay. The Israelis strike civilian targets. Okay, we've already covered that in the beginning of this program. Okay. They strike civilian targets. I mean, I just looked at a news article yesterday, the live footage of a strike on an Iranian bridge.
Yep. Yeah, they've been hitting the main civilian infrastructure.
Yep. Yeah, just like, well, what is primary civilian infrastructure? Well, schools.
Yep.
Hospitals. So,
power.
I mean, and that's exactly what the proxy POTUS said.
Yep.
Remember?
Yep.
He said a couple of months ago he was going to go after all civilian targets, right? Infrastructure. Is everybody upset that I said that out loud? Yeah, I said it. I said the Israeli proxy POTUS. That's what we got going on here. If you know it or not. I mean, so it's incredible what's going on. It's incredible the state of the church. I mean, we've got massive issues dividing the church as we speak. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Brian, this is a good place to stop this broadcast. This is a good test. We've been on here for 33 minutes? Yep. I think this is a good place to stop and, see if the chat worked all right and all that good stuff. See how it happened because, it just is what it is. So, your closing comments.
Well, I think we covered quite a bit there in 33 minutes. So, and we're going to continue to push forward doing this type of thing and hopefully some more teachings and other things again, too, as we progress through. And
which we already have. Let me say that. Okay. It's my intentions to do the End Time Tribune, weekly. Okay. Yes, Brian and I already have laid solid. We got 2 programs we're going to do. We're going to do Pilate's prophetic imperative, because whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter what the church officials say. Everything that happens in the end time is tied to the rule and the reign of Pontius Pilate. Yeah, it does. Number 2, we're going to do one on the 2 witnesses. In a light that Brian and I's never done it before. So we've got programs, but the news program, we're definitely going to try to do once a week. And the other times we're going to get these other programs done. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you have my word. The Brian and I are writing again. The End Time Tribune is back. And like I said before, nobody covers end time topics or news better than the End Time Tribune, baby? Nobody. That's a fact. So, next broadcast, we'll lay out the eschatology that we do here on the End Time Tribune. You've got a lot to learn, one way or the other. Most of you who are going to view this probably have no idea the eschatology that the End Time Tribune has. So it should be very informative for you just in that light. But it is Brian and I's hope that we are able to edify you, because this is a fact. Neither the Bri nor I have any intention of entertaining you. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Godspeed.